Hello, and welcome to Having Healthy Conversations. My name is Dan March. I am a coach and facilitator. I have worked at iOpener for over a decade now, but I'm also a trained actor, trained as an actor back in the late 90s, believe it or not. I have coached at many of the world's leading business schools, as well as many top blue chip companies. I also have a history in business, working in sales, becoming a sales director in a company that worked in the oil and gas industry. But I'm here to talk to you about having healthy conversations. Before we begin, I'd like to just let you know about an iOpener model that we use for feedback. We call it feed forward. It's a positive way of sharing feedback, and it uses two main elements. I'm going to show you here on the screen: keeps and starts. Keeps are describing what someone did that worked well, and starts are describing what someone could do that would work better. So these are always actionable and specific to what you see and hear, and its impact on you, rather than making any assumptions. So a keep might be, keep with that direct eye contact. It makes me feel that you are connecting with me and interested in what I say. Starts could be, start thinking about slowing your pace. When you speak too quickly, it makes me feel that you're getting a bit nervous. So that's keeps and starts: clear, actionable, and specific. And when you receive that feed forward, accept it, listen, and reflect. Don't push back. Don't go, well, that's not how I normally behave. It's simply that person's reaction in that moment to those specific behaviors. That's the keeps and starts model. Okay, I'm now going to introduce you to a scene, and we're going to witness an unhealthy conversation. So before we begin that, actually, I'd like you to just think about any unhealthy conversations you may have had in the last month or so. What made them unhealthy? What specifically made it unhealthy? And what are the elements that make up a healthy conversation? Get into that headspace, that mindset. We're now going to witness an unhealthy conversation between Fanos, who is a sales manager at a medical product manufacturer, and he's having a Zoom meeting with one of his team, Angela. So we're now going to witness this unhealthy conversation between Fanos, sales manager, and Angela, a member of his team.
I'm telling you, Mike, if she's even 1 minute late to this, I've got half a mind to just, yeah, I know. Oh, there she is. Right, I better go. All right, I'll see you at the conference next week, yeah? Yeah, good luck with that target. We'll knock you out of the park, mates. Yes, all right. Ciao. Angela, turn on your microphone.
Oh,
Now your camera's off.
oh, I'm sorry about that. I just, sorry.
I'm sure you know why I've called this meeting.
Well, actually, there wasn't an agenda, so.
Your attitude.
Oh.
Frankly, Angela, your attitude stinks.
I'm sorry.
I'm great at reading people, and I can see exactly what you think about this job.
Well, I care about this job.
It's blatantly obvious that you're out of your depth.
What do you mean?
Well, your productivity has dropped 60% over the last 8 weeks. You missed your sales target for October, and November isn't looking too healthy, is it?
Well, the whole team are struggling. I mean, it's not just me. The current economic climate is the worst that it's ever been. And so I have got some good ideas that I'd like to.
Excuses, Angela, always excuses. Now, I didn't get where I am today by making excuses. As your sales director, I expect commitment, passion, and going the extra mile.
Well, I have tried, Fanos, and I can never get a word in edgeways. And
Can you explain to me why you've been late 3 times this month?
Look, I spoke to Sophie in HR, and
to top the lot, you didn't even bother to turn up to the last team meeting. Nothing is safe for yourself.
Well, I just didn't. You talk.
You know how that looks to the rest of the team. It's rude. It's disrespectful. Has a knock-on effects with the morale, and I have to pick up the pieces.
I had my reasons.
Well, it's not good enough. You're not good enough. And I'm not the only one who thinks that.
Who else thinks I'm not good enough?
Why didn't you turn up, Angela?
Are you actually going to listen to me if I tell you?
Excuse me?
I was just showing a bit of passion.
This is a verbal warning, Angela. One more misstep and you're out. Now, I'd better see a turnaround in your attitude and results ASAP or else. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I'll be checking your call rates and sales conversion this Friday. Right then. Off you go.
Okay, so there we've just seen a pretty unhealthy conversation between Fanos and Angela. Now, in a workshop, we would now sit with those two actors and hot seat them. What do I mean by that? We would speak to them individually as if they cannot hear each other's responses. And delegates will then ask probing questions to find out exactly how those characters are feeling, what their motivations are, what their thoughts are about the meeting they've just had, and really ask those difficult questions, hopefully bringing out all the information we need to then ideally resolve and create a healthy conversation. So that will be the next step in the process, is to ask those questions and get those characters to give us that information. The next step is to look at a couple of techniques. First of all, active listening. We've all heard the term active listening. Many of us are familiar with certain techniques with active listening, but here's just a brief appraisal of it, a brief run through. That first level of listening, where you just focus on yourself, you are not actively listening. You're just thinking about yourself. Oh dear, what am I wearing today? Have I said the right thing? Oh no, it's all about me. It's all about me. What should I say next? We're not focused on the other. Then we start to focus on the other. We hear what they're saying. We're taking that in. We're now actively listening. Active plus is we're able to summarize back, repeat back what that person has said, which also helps that other person feel listened to, which is hugely important in healthy conversations, being listened to and feeling we are being listened to. That active plus, repeating back, summarizing back. Then deep listening, we're bordering on empathy here, and empathy is really, really important, again, in healthy conversations. We are looking at the other person. We're taking in not just the words they say, but how they say it. And the body language. What are we seeing facially? Is this person a bit stressed? Are they distracted? Is there something else going on? Or can we also tell that from the body language? Is there more than one person in the meeting? Is there a power dynamic going on? Really getting deep into that person and understanding what they're thinking and how they're feeling, their sense of being. And that is the deepest level of attention, and that's what we're aiming for. It really takes the pressure off yourself as well, because you're thinking about the other. So that is active listening in a nutshell. I'd also like now to hand over to the managing director of iOpener, Vik Kumar. He's going to take you through not only introducing himself, but also another model of feedback called the I did model. Over to you, Vik.
Thanks, Dan. So to create a healthy conversation, we made a simple 4-step framework to help the likes of Fanos have a more effective conversation with Angela. And you'll soon see on your screen this framework that could be used for both positive or negative conversations or feedback. And one thing I'd like to just share, it is not a script. It can happen in minutes. It can happen over a few days, depending on what serves the receiver. And it's a conversation. So it can be a coaching conversation or super direct, but we're aiming to be a dialogue. So let me explain the 4 steps. First is intention, data, impact, and difference. Intention is the outcomes that you want to, for yourself, for the other receiver, and for both of you. So if you want to rehearse anything, rehearse this stage, because it gives you the commitment and the confidence to have the conversation. And if you really want to see how you come across at the start of the conversation, record it into your smartphone and hear it back to hear how your tone matches your words. That could be a really great way to set the intent. Once you've set the intent, you need to gain the agreement from the receiver. So start the conversation, gain the agreement from the receiver, because it creates a contract. And in Fanos's case, he's there to talk about sales performance. But if Angela wants to take it away from sales performance and talk about another topic, Fanos can say, we agree the intent at the start, the outcomes, let's stick to the agenda of sales performance and not another topic. Once you've got the intent going, you then move into data. What have you seen? What have you heard and felt about Angela's sales performance? Those are the kind of questions I'd be asking Fanos. And really looking at something that Angela can change and owning the facts behind the conversation as well. Let's move on to impact. Okay, so what's happening with Angela's performance? How does it affect her, Fanos, the team, their clients? There's a whole 360 that could be done here. And the idea here is to focus on not just facts, but feelings and what could really mostly motivate Angela to make a difference. Is it sales performance? Is it her reputation? Is it career progression? Who knows? But using that first reason to help motivate Angela to then make a difference, which is the final step. And that's finally what's going to happen next. What does Angela need to do? What may Fanos need to do differently as well? This again could be a real coaching question for those with high self-awareness and will and capability may not need to be told what to do next. They've got enough from the rest of the conversation to move forwards. Some may require further direction. So I hope this is helpful for Fanos and hopefully for yourself for your next conversation. But let's find out what happens next.
Thank you for that, Vik. An incredibly useful model, the IDEAD model. Intention, massively important. I'm also going to now look at questioning techniques. What happens often when you're hot seating the characters is we get stuck sometimes in specific styles of questioning. We might get stuck in a closed questioning. Did you think that? We might get a bit finger pointy and blamey. Why did you do that? So let's just look at questioning techniques and perhaps give a couple of hints and tips here for you. Very useful techniques here. So we are aware of open questions, the difference between an open and closed question. Closed questions give a yes or no answer, or maybe, whereas open questions elicit more information. What and how are our huge friends, obviously. Who and where get specific information. Why can be problematic and can feel like finger pointing and blaming. So sometimes steer away from that. Tell me more about it. This is a very useful way of perhaps avoiding overuse of what and how. TED questions. Tell, explain, describe. Tell me more about how you're feeling. Explain to me what the key elements for this meeting are going to be. Describe your working day. Tell, explain, describe, TED, another way of getting more information. Closed questions, we are aware that they draw out quite often minimal amounts of information. A lot of people do give a bit more than just a yes or a no, but it is a law of diminishing returns. So be careful how you use them. It can steer a conversation, but not always get the most productive information. So what other ways can we really use open questions? How about probing? Probing questions, help you get more detail, get to the root of something. What specifically is the real issue here? What exactly did you mean when you said that? Probing. Reflective questions, gets the other person to examine what they're thinking. Okay, analyze it, get them to think before they answer. What do you want to have achieved by the end of this meeting? What would you like to do personally that would create a more positive outcome? So get them to reflect, get them to think. So probing, reflective, and here's just two more, hypothetical and scaling. Hypothetical questions often gets a more positive mindset ticking over. Really useful to explore possibilities, perhaps give a different approach if things are getting a bit emotional or stuck in some way. If you could have a perfect scenario, what would that look like? If you could get really amazing at this, what would the implications be? What if you were to go down this particular route of ideas that we've been discussing? Where might that lead? Where might that go to? Hypothetical questions gets us a bit more out of that emotional space, gets us thinking perhaps a bigger picture. scaling questions, a way of getting people to really gauge their feelings. On a scale of 1 to 10, already we're thinking about, oh, where are we at? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you like to get a better outcome, get a better outcome out of this? If it's a 7, okay. What would take you to a 10? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how keen are you? How happy are you to proceed with this? Oh, I see, you're only a 3. Okay, so what other elements would you need? So it's a real way of gauging where someone's at. So that's a way of looking at questioning techniques. Again, very, very useful in the hot seating process with the actors, but equally for yourselves with your own healthy conversations. The next step of the process is to bring the actors back and to forum theatre the scene. Those of you who haven't dealt with forum theatre before, what happens is the actors will replay the scene, but the audience has the power to stop the action at any time. They can pause the action like a remote control. Now, online, we do that through the chat function. In the space, if we're actually there face-to-face, people can shout out, stop, or pause. And what happens is at that moment where they witness a behavior which is imperfect, that is leading to unhealthy behaviors. For example, in the film you just saw with Fanos on the phone, he's on the phone at the start. So pause, stop, and get off the phone before the meeting. So then you would speak directly to the character and say, how about you stop that phone call and smile and welcome in Angela. The actor will then try that and we will see if it gets a better result. Now, sometimes people's suggestions aren't always the best suggestion. Sometimes they lead to even more improving by people adding in their cumulative thinking processes. But that's the way forum theatre works. We break it down bit by bit, looking at the specific words that people use, the actions, their tone of voice, to get an overall improved, healthy conversation, ideally using the I did model as a framework to steer us, but equally looking at people's behaviours and ideally actively listening, using the right questioning techniques, and creating a healthy outcome at the end. There we go. That's in a nutshell the process we go through. And we have a number of polls and questions and questionnaires we can send to you and make further connection with you. But to wrap everything up, I'll hand over now to Vik. Vik, I'll leave the last word to you.
We hope you've enjoyed this short video. We don't do many training sessions in less than an hour at iOpener, but I hope it gives you a flavour of what we can do. Our ultimate aim is to help you have even healthier conversations. And if you think this is something that you need for yourself or for your team or even wider for your business, please let us know. And we can do this through one-to-one coaching, team development, or corporate leadership programs, and much, much more. Everything we do is customized for you. So we hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you want to take the conversation further with us, please let us know. And best of luck in your next conversation.